Thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Scheffler with Citywide Title. We have a new episode of Eat and Drink Real Estate here with attorney Kevin Pritchett. We are going to be talking about the world's greatest side hustle and real estate investing. So, Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for having me on the podcast, Mike. I'm a real estate attorney and also a real estate investor. I've been an attorney for 37 years and an investor for about 35 of that 37 years. Interesting story how I became a real estate investor. We'll get into that as we go on, but that's kind of like my background. I represent buyers, sellers, and investors in the real estate world.
Awesome. So just jumping into it. So why should I become a real estate investor?
I will answer that, Mike. It's really interesting. About 35 years ago, I heard a Carlton Sheets commercial. Yeah, Carlton Sheets. And he said something that struck me. He goes, more people have made more money by accident on their personal home than they have from anything else they've ever done. That has stuck with me to this day, and that's what prompted me to become a real estate investor. I was able to become financially independent not from my legal practice, but from real estate investing. So that's why someone should consider it. It is an excellent way to become financially independent.
Great. Did you start investing in real estate before you became an attorney, or was that something that you kind of fell into?
No, just something I fell into after I became a real estate lawyer. I saw all these deals I was representing, and I said, oh, yeah, I can get some of this.
So if I wanted to start investing in real estate, what's a good kind of first steps to jumping into it?
You know, the way that I started is the way that I recommend that everybody who comes to me and asks and wants to get started. Get with a mentor, somebody who has experienced in it, can show you the ropes. Every person is different. They're going to have different styles, different ways that they learn. So the best way to get started is to get a mentor to guide you through the process.
Gotcha. And what does that kind of entail when you start working with a mentor? Can you walk me through some of the steps that...
That's a great question, Mike. First thing that everybody has to determine is what investing strategy is going to be best for them. Is it going to be buy, fix it up? Is it going to be buy and hold it? Is it going to be rental? Is it going to be flipping the contracts? Commercial, residential, buying notes? There are many, many ways to skin a cat in real estate. So that's the first step.
Great. Do you see a lot of people, does that kind of change with the market? Are people, if they're investing long-term and the market shifts, is that something that you see kind of people dumping the properties and reinvesting in different ones, or do they kind of stick to a plan when you work with a mentor like that?
You know, it's funny. What I have seen as a real estate lawyer is all those strategies work, and the different market cycles will have one strategy being more prevalent than another. From the people that I mentor, what I tell them is stay true to your strategy. Don't jump into different strategies because the other one is hot.
Yeah.
Because that might not be you. Stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have gone through, like, especially investing in stocks and stuff like that. You see one thing and you jump on it, and then you're kicking yourself in the pants a couple days, weeks, years later. Like, oh, I should have just held on to it and stick to what I was doing.
That's exactly right. It's just like with anything. Stick to your strategy, and your strategy will take you to where you need to go.
Great. So kind of going off that, finances, that's always a big thing when investing in real estate. How much money do I need, typically starting out?
Well, there's the glib answer, none, and the real answer is some.
Yeah.
Real estate is truly a strategy where there's so many different strategies and techniques that you can do some things without any money at all. For example, if I wanted to buy an investment property, cost $300,000, traditional way, 20% down, and then you get a loan for the rest. There are other ways, though. If you're selling it, you're the seller, and I say to you, can we work out a deal where you help finance part of it? So those are two ends of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. It all depends.
Gotcha. Do I need to have a license if I wanted to start investing in real estate, or is there...
That's a great question, Mike, and that's a common misunderstanding. No, you do not. A real estate license licenses you to buy and sell real estate on behalf of someone else. You can be an investor. You're a business person, so you do not need a license to be an investor.
Gotcha. So is there a lot of risk involved when you start investing in real estate?
Again, I'll give you the answer like I did before when you asked me, do you need money? Yes, some, and a whole bunch if you do it wrong. If you're borrowing money, and that's a typical way to get into real estate, when you're borrowing money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's inherent risk. So when I mentor people and work with them, I tell them how to buy it right. The best way to protect your risk is to buy it right.
Great. So I know there's a lot of different ways you can invest in real estate. Can you walk me through a couple of the different options that you have when you're investing?
So the standard kind of first level strategy is to buy a property, fix it up or not as it may need to be, and then rent it. The cash flow, the rents that you collect from the property pays your expenses and gives you a positive profit at the end of the month. So that's one typical strategy. Another strategy that's very common is to buy a property that's run down. You buy it, or not necessarily run down, but you buy it under market. Might be a quality property, but it's beat up, kind of rough around the edges.
Needs a little work on it.
Needs facelift. And then there's major facelifts and just cosmetic stuff. You buy something like that under market at a good price, fix it up, sell it, and then you make a profit on that.
Gotcha.
And a third major strategy is what's called wholesaling. When you enter into a contract with a seller for a property, again, at below market price, you locate other investors who are interested in that property, and you just assign your rights in that contract without you having to do any work at all. Those are the three major categories.
Gotcha. So if you're talking to a first-time investor, they're looking to buy a property that needs some work on it. They're going to have to put some money in it. Is that money that they would typically have to, have sitting aside already and take out of pocket, or how would that work?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Mike. A lot of people, or it all depends on how you approach it. A lot of investors I work with take money out of a pension plan, so that's the pot they use to fix up the property and to get started. Another set of investors, they will borrow money from investors, people they know, family members, or just people who do this, and they'll get the money to invest and work in the property. Then there's other strategies that don't necessarily require a lot of upfront money, but for those that do, those are typically the way that people get it, either from their own money, they go from investors in order to get the money that they need for the property.
Gotcha. So also you were talking about being an advisor. Can you walk us through, I know a lot of people have teams that they work with. Can you walk us through kind of members of those teams and the important roles that they play?
Yeah, very important to get a team together in real estate because real estate is very multifaceted. So first of all, you need a good real estate attorney, someone who is experienced in doing real estate. A divorce attorney doesn't know real estate, just like I don't know divorce stuff. The second person you need is an excellent title company. Citywide is my title company because Citywide is responsive. They know the marketplace. When I call you or other people at Citywide, I get what I need right away, experience if I have to work through something in the title, and you will have problems with title. So a good title company, experienced title company is a good second partner. If you are selling property on the market, you need a good realtor that's experienced in the type of properties that you're looking to either sell or buy. Realtors can bring you investment properties. They can also sell your properties for you after you have rehabbed them. Those are the main pieces of your team: a good lawyer, title company, and a realtor.
Awesome. Yeah, I know all those are super important. The last thing you want is somebody bumbling or missing a deadline and it kills the deal and you're out all that time and potentially the property that you were looking at. So,
that's right.
The next one, kind of the money, making a profit off it. Ideally, that's why you're investing in real estate property, is to turn a profit. How much money could someone, look at bringing in?
I set my standards when I first started, and I was taught by my mentor to not do a deal for any less than $50,000 total profit after everything is paid, all your expenses. And every deal I did, 99.99% of the deals I did and do now make at least $50,000. Now my deals are considerably more. But realistically, a deal can make you $50,000 on a fix and flip. If you're holding the deal, that's different because you're putting money in. It's the cash flow that you're looking at. But it's still equity. Equity builds up in properties. You can do things with that over time, too.
Great. So could you walk us through how someone, we'll stick with strictly a residential deal, for example, how someone can kind of roughly come up with that number or what their expectations should be when investing in a property?
Yes. The rule of thumb typically, let's say you're looking at a property and so the first thing you do is determine what its after repaired value is. That's always the very first thing because that's how you're going to make your money on the back end, what you can sell it for after you're through with whatever your strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
Then you do a discount. There's various percentages, but anywhere between 30 and 35% discount just right off the top of the after repaired value. Then you take out whatever the repair costs are going to be from the property. So then you subtract those. Other costs and fees, and it really depends if you're holding it, whatever. So you discount the property when you're making your offer. You buy it at no higher than what's called the MAO, the maximum acceptable offer price, which is the numbers that we just talked about, to make sure that you've backed in a profit, you've backed in the expenses and everything that you're going to need so that when you sell it, your profit is after all those things that you've backed out.
So when people are investing in property, you may see a lot of rental properties in your area. Some people think that there's already too many investment properties out there. What are your thoughts on that?
It's really interesting. It's counterintuitive. Anything that has a lot of competition in it has a lot of market value. There's a lot of people making money at it, or else they wouldn't be in it. There are 330 million people in America. There's plenty of real estate properties. The key is not to focus on the other investors in the marketplace, but focus on how you can find the properties you need. You don't need all of them. If you're making $50,000 a property, you can do quite well just doing a handful of properties. So focus on how to find good properties. Right? So
if someone's looking at, say you're looking at buying some residential properties and you're going to flip them, would you suggest buying one or two?
Oh.
Yeah, and so you're kind of focusing on those, or how would you kind of advise about maybe spreading yourself too thin if you start getting in 4 or 5 properties that you're dealing with?
Right. When you're starting out, it's good to go slowly, focus, and take your time. Things are going to go wrong. We call it the O blank factor. If you're taking on a whole bunch of stuff and something goes wrong, the probability of things going haywire is significantly higher.
Yeah.
And if you're at the beginning and you don't have experience and know how to maneuver out of them or avoid it, you could really be getting into trouble before you even start. So I recommend to people just start out slowly. Work your way through, figure out what you're doing, what works, how to do it right, and then ramp up slowly.
And so what would you kind of recommend as the best real estate investing strategy?
There is no best. It all depends on your particular point of view. I'll give you an example from my own experience. When I started out fixing and flipping. Well, I was a lawyer. I was great at structuring the deals. To this day, I love finding and structuring deals. Well, finding the contractors, because these hands were made for writing checks and playing the piano, right? So I would rehab the properties and then sell it and then realize, oh, this sucks. I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
So then I went to fixing and holding. I hated being a landlord even more. So you go through different phases of your own development, different strategies for different people. So find out what you are good at and what you're going to be able to do is my answer to that question, Mike.
Yeah, so if I'm looking for a property, what's the best way that I can, find one of those properties?
My favorite strategy, I do advertising on social media through Facebook. So I get people who see my ads and they respond to me. I'm not cold calling them. I'm not chasing them. I'm not driving for dollars. Now, having said that, have I done all those things? Absolutely. And I've gotten deals from every single one of those strategies. I have the money and resources to do advertising. So if you do, I think that is one of the strongest methods to have deals find you. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have those resources, then door knock, drive, cold call, do whatever you can do. But the name of the game here is finding good deals.
So when you're trying to find those good deals, are you just looking for people that are listing their house on Facebook, or are you finding houses maybe in your neighborhood or you pass that and just ask them if they're going to be selling their property or make an offer on it?
I mean, I've done that and gotten deals just asking people, seeing weeds or something, and asking them. But typically, I'm not looking for listed deals. The reason why is if a property is listed with a realtor, there has to be enough room in it to pay the realtor commissions and all the other fees. Mm-hmm. Well, I, as an investor, I need to buy it at a low enough price that I can make a profit. And typically, I can't make profit on listed property. So I'm looking for off-market deals.
Yeah. So say I come across one of those deals. How do I get a seller to sell me that property, at a price that's going to work for me where I can turn a profit on it?
That is the $50,000 question. The real answer to it, Mike, is you have to go through enough sellers to find the right situation. There are plenty of sellers who just want out. And the typical one for me is like a 60, 70-year-old seller who's been in the house for 20, 30 years. There's no mortgage. There may be some health issues. They may need to move right away. They don't want to fix up the property in order to get it ready to list. Mm-hmm. So I just say, I'll take it sight unseen. We're able to negotiate a price that works for them.
Gotcha. Do you see a lot of those properties going, maybe they're waiving inspections, they're buying the property as is? Is that kind of the way that they go with investing?
Mm-hmm. Right. But I have to market to find. I have to go through a lot. I have to, like panning for gold, you have to go through a lot of gravel to find the gold nuggets. But consistently, I can find what I'm looking for.
So can you kind of walk us through real estate leverage and kind of how you would utilize that in your process?
Yeah. Let me define the word leverage because it gets thrown around in real estate a lot. Leverage just means you're borrowing money. For example, if you buy a property that has a value of $100,000, you put a 20% down payment on it to be able to buy it from a bank and get not from a bank, but get the loan from the bank. You're using leverage. You're using 20% of your money or investor money in order to leverage a $100,000 property. $20,000 to leverage a $100,000 property. That's typically how you'd use a little money to get into a larger property.
So when people are investing in these properties, do you see them typically around 20%, or say, if I had the full disposable income, house costs $100,000, I have $100,000 sitting here, do you recommend kind of buying the property outright, or is it better to, maybe put 20% down, mortgaging the property, and then fixing it up and doing what you need to do?
The answer to that depends on your strategy. If you are fixing and flipping, well, anytime you borrow money, either from investors or a bank, it's going to cost you money. It's an added cost to the deal. Mm-hmm. If you're using your own money and you're just flipping it and turning it, your risk is higher because you've got all the money in it, but you're reducing your cost significantly. So if you buy it right, analyze it right, find good back-end buyers, I like to use my own money, do it, and then flip it.
Gotcha. So say I'm ready to pull the trigger, I'm looking to invest in properties. What are the next steps that I should take to kind of start the process?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mike, because there's an overwhelming amount of information, strategies, different ways to get into it. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, there's a link below. Click that link, sign up for a consultation. I can kind of talk to you about what your strategy is, what your point of view is, and kind of walk you through what the right first move should be.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate you jumping on here with me. A bunch of insightful information. What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, again, there's links down at the bottom of this video. There's going to be ways to contact me. Click the link, get my free report. So then you can get in my ecosystem, you can get all my information. And also sign up for a consultation. Doesn't cost any money, the first one. It's just a way for us to get to know each other, for me to see how I can best help you.
What's your website? Why don't you just tell us also if in case.
law.kevinplaw.com.
Gotcha. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate being on the podcast, Mike. Thank you.